So I like South Park. I like South Park an unhealthy amount. I have an innate ability to where I can listen to almost any 5-second clip from any South Park episode, and I can almost tell you exactly what episode that is.
What a loser.
That is how much I have watched South Park, how much I like South Park. It's easily one of my top 3 franchises in any way, shape, or form. The reason I bring this up is because South Park has decided to go into a realm that I also really enjoy, that being a gamer. But for those of you who didn't know, South Park came out with a new game called South Park Snow Day. This was completely different than the other 2 games that they have brought out with the Fractured But Whole and the Stick of Truth. I have also played both of those games, and I really enjoyed those games. Those games are more of a turn-based RPG type of game, while Snow Day goes a little bit different, which I was excited for, because in Snow Day, it's not a turn-based RPG. It is pretty much a hack and slash, progress through waves type of game.
No, Artard, it's an MMORPG.
And I was excited for that because that's new. That's the type of games that I like to play. One of my favorite video games to play is Borderlands. I enjoy Borderlands a lot. I have the little peanut brain that I have. I will sit there for hours in Borderlands, grinding the same boss, trying to get the best variation of the weapon possible. So if it's a repetitive thing like that, I will enjoy it as long as there is something that I can gain out of it. But that brings us to our bigger situation here. So on face value, South Park Snow Day, it looks really good graphically. Everything's still super funny. For a quick reference, I have played the game for 8 hours and I've completed it. I've completed all the main missions. I have completed some of the side missions of the other ones. I say some of because there's only 4 of them, and that's about it. It's really kind of upsetting. Now, I'm not saying every game has to be like Baldur's Gate where you have to put in 16 hours just to get halfway through the story, but I wanted there to be more. I didn't think that I would be able to complete it all in one sitting, while at the same time, the customization is also something else in this game. When it comes to character customization, there is so much you can do. They have all these goofy different cosmetics you can put on. They have the Creed joke from the Creed episode. They even have the bald chin boy cosmetic. They have so many different cosmetics in this game to make your character look the way that you want them to look, that it's incredibly fun. It's funny. There's not a moment where you're going through this game where there's not something that's kind of humorous. Even on the loading screen, it's making jokes, which is super funny. But once you get into the game, it gets really rough. So I want you to picture your favorite game, whether it be COD, whether it be Baldur's Gate, whether it be Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Yeah, but I'm playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
I don't care. I'm sure that there's a lot of options that you can choose from in said game. What if I were to tell you in South Park Snow Day, you have an option of 3 weapon types, and that is it.
Dude, weak.
You also have a choice of 3 ranged weapon types, and that is it.
Super weak.
There is not much more on that, and it really gets to the point where once you get to the final weapon, you don't want to use any of the other weapons because they're severely underpowered in correlation. Because once you get to the axe, nothing else is worth it. Once you get to the fire wand, nothing else is worth it. So it makes it to where there's basically no customization for your character. If I were to have to guess, you can also multiplayer in this game, so you can play online with friends and you can have a party of up to 4 people. I don't see why everybody wouldn't just be running the same exact weapons, the same exact axe, the same exact wand, because if you run anything else, you're kind of just a moron.
This is a fantasy, you moron!
Because the damage difference and the special attacks between all the weapons, it's not even close. And the one thing that kind of also puts apart the difference between characters, I would guess, is it does have powers that you can use with your for PlayStation. If you have L1 and R1, for Xbox it'd be the left bumper and the right bumper. But the only things that you can, there's 8 different powers. You can choose 2, so there's a decent amount of combinations that you can use for powers, and that one at least seems a little bit different. Like I could see other people running different powers. That one would make sense to me. Not everyone's gonna run the same type of powers. The powers, I will give them this, they do provide more of a difference when it comes to character creation and the way you play the game. But again, there's only 8 of them. If there's 4 of you in a party and you're playing multiplayer, you will have all of those powers. And the ones you start off with are not that great. They're more so escape powers. But the reason I bring this up is because there's little to no customization of your character. It doesn't feel unique. It doesn't feel different. Yeah, you can make your characters look different, but I guarantee you if you queue up into any South Park snow day lobby, you're gonna see 4 people running with the axe. And if you're not running with the axe, I don't know what you're doing. You're just goofing, I guess, which is fine. You can go to goof. But it makes it hard to want to play the game when it's just, oh, I got to the best weapon in 2.5 hours and now the game is just going to be the same thing for the rest of it. And that's the reason I brought up Borderlands also. So in Borderlands, if you've never played Borderlands, every time you defeat a boss, the loot that you will get from them is RNG. You don't know what you're going to get. There are certain drops that will come from certain bosses, but there's no guarantee you get it. And even in games like Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3, whenever you get that item, there's no guarantee that the stats on it are going to be the same as the stats that you get from the same item the next time you fight the boss. So there's ultimate customization when it comes to the weapons and items that you use in the game. And like I said, I would sit there for hours playing Borderlands, doing the same thing over and over again just to try to get the weapon that I wanted. And I was fine with that. I had fun with that. I would throw on some music and I would go and kill the same boss 50 times just trying to get this thing. And I had fun with that because your character feels like it's playing the game a different way than someone who might join in and play with you. And that's fine because it's meant to be this character that you progress all through its character tree and you build it up the way that you want to, and it does damage the way that you want to, and it's your character and that's how you created it. Whereas in South Park, it just feels like everybody's the same character just with different South Park gear on, which like I said, I really like South Park and I thought this game is incredibly funny to me. There were multiple times where I was just laughing at the game because it's a genuinely funny game. And I really enjoyed that. And when it comes to the actual gameplay about it, each game is set up the exact same way. You go on these like campaign things where you're basically having a war with either it be Kyle, Stan, just the other kids basically. And you basically go to war against them. You go through different levels and each time you get to the end of a level, you get to pick a card.
Take your cards, boys.
And this card basically decides whether you get an increase on your attack or it increases your health. And the reason you upgrade these cards is because you get toilet paper during the game. And it's basically making a joke about the whole like COVID thing where everyone was fighting for toilet paper. But that's the only way that your character feels any different is by getting these cards. And even then, there's not a lot of cards really at the same time either, where I will say this, there's a decent amount of cards for each one, but it's the same thing. If you have the axe and you have the fire wand, there's only a certain amount of cards that you're going to be able to get. And they do go to different levels in rarity and it increases the effect of which they have. But at the same time, after you do a couple of them, it's just, that's it. Like for the healing one, there's 4 different cards that you can get and that's it. And that's a lot of the way that it is for a lot of the power-ups and for the weapons and the attacks. And I understand the reason that they have these cards is so it feels like it's a different playthrough every time you play it, but there's just 4 different upgrades basically for each one.
It just seems so lame.
And once you get those 4 upgrades, it's like, okay, well, that's the end of it. Now you know everything that it has to do with that. And there's just not a lot of customization. There's not a lot of things that make this game make you want to play it more. The only thing that you can do once you beat the main quest and the side quests, which are also just there to get what's called dark matter, so you can upgrade the consistency of what you get toilet paper or how quick your health regenerates. And it's very small, minuscule things like that. It's not something that when it happens, you're sitting there like, oh yes, this is This is so worth it, because not only does it exponentially increase as you go on, because for every upgrade after the first few, it starts doubling for the amount that you have to contribute to upgrade your perks with the dark matter. A lot of the perks aren't really worth it either. Like, some of the perks include you have a 30% chance of drawing another upgrade card during any given interaction. So anytime you talk to someone, there's a chance that you get another card. You escape from grabs 90% faster. You can chain a second dodge onto your first. You can move 200% faster on ice without sliding. And it's not a lot of stuff that really makes you think that it's going to change. It's not changing the game, which I understand. Getting perks isn't supposed to completely innately change the game that you're playing. But in Borderlands, that was the whole point of upgrading perks. It was getting perks that worked with other perks to make your character better. I remember specifically in Borderlands 2, if you played Zero, there was a perk called Bore, which was every time you shot someone with a sniper rifle, any bullet that went through him would increase the damage exponentially on the character that was behind it. And there was this one boss fight, I can't remember the name of it, but it was this giant ship. And since it was a giant ship, if you shot it with a sniper, the bullets that went through him, because it was a giant ship, exponentially increased damage on the way through, thus almost making it a one-shot kill, which was super awesome if you could pull it off correctly. And that felt like the perks were changing the game. In this game, whenever I unlock the perk First Strike and I deal 40% more damage to the enemy with full health, I don't feel like that's changing the game for me. If anything, it does a small amount of damage, because you instantly take a ton of damage from every character in this game, and you fight the same different enemies every game. So at the same point, you just begin to realize what characters are what, but it just really feels like there's not a lot in this game to make it worth playing. And that sucks a lot. I found myself doing a lot of the unlocks just to try to get cosmetics because I've done everything else. And it is really disappointing to me. For someone who really likes South Park, I've played all the other South Park games. I've done everything that I can with South Park, because it's just, I enjoy the show. I enjoyed the other games when I played them, even though I wasn't huge on RPG back and forth type battles. I'd still say that the Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole were a lot better than this game. And now, of course, I'm saying this before any of the DLC comes out. I do have the season pass. I've got it locked and loaded for whenever the rest of the stuff comes out. So maybe it comes out and it makes this game a lot more entertaining, but as it sits right now, it's rough. It's really rough, dude. I had such high expectations for this game because, like I said, I like South Park a lot, but I really just feel like they really dropped the ball on this game. If you'd like to play it, go ahead and play it. Like I said, you're gonna get about 8 hours of playtime out of it. That's if you're a true gamer like me and you're able to just get through it pretty fast, but it still has its moments that are funny. It's just, I feel like from a game standpoint, it's kind of a letdown, but I know this was a little different than what I normally do. I just wanted to review this because South Park is technically a TV show, which also used to be a movie because they made a movie about it too. But I don't know, man. I feel like they could have done so much more with this. But thank you for stopping by and watching or listening, however you decide to take this in. I'm gonna try to get more videos out as much as I can. I've been struggling a lot with work, but shouldn't necessarily be an excuse. But hopefully y'all can watch this and enjoy it. I don't know if y'all play games or not. I play a lot of games, and man, I was really hoping that this would be a lot better than it was. I waited months for this game to come out. But thank you for everyone who stopped by to listen. Hopefully in the next one, I'll have a more enjoyable video review for you, or movie review for you with all the bells and whistles. But I just wanted to throw this out there because it was something that, I don't know, I felt pretty strongly about, and I was debating whether to make a video on this or not. My girlfriend thought it would be a great idea for me to do it because it's something that I do like a lot, but I don't know, man. This game is really hoping that the DLC saves it. But once again, thank you to everyone who stopped by and listened. I greatly appreciate everyone that's here. Hopefully the channel can continue to grow, and hopefully I never have to come back and review the South Park game again. But thank you to everyone. Until next time, I will see y'all in the next one.